Hello and good morning. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. We have a lot to discuss today, so let's jump right in. Today we're talking about ways to outfit hybrid learning spaces for success. My name is Jackson Root, Marketing Manager at DTEN, and we have the pleasure of being joined today by Dr. Lance Ford at Zoom and Scott Krueckeberg, Head of Strategic Alliances at DTEN. So we have a lot to cover today. We're going to move quickly, but I would like to invite you to use the Q&A function if you have any questions at all. I'll be emceeing today's webinar. If you have questions, please drop them in the Q&A. I'll help to facilitate those questions. Some we'll answer as we go, and others we'll save time for at the end. So today we're going to talk about hybrid learning. We're talking about blended learning environments, remote learning. We're going to start with a discussion about the state of today, what we're seeing in hybrid learning and remote learning. We're going to talk about some new considerations. And we're also going to go through a case study with USC. We're going to talk a little bit about the challenge that they were facing and solutions that they found for hybrid learning in their campuses. Next, we're going to jump into ways you can outfit spaces for success. So we're going to talk about Zoom rooms. We're going to talk about some technology solutions that you can use. And we're going to go through a live tour of Dr. Lance Ford's educational environment too. He's got there, which is really exciting. It's pretty cool. And with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. Before we go through the main webinar, just something to consider is that we're going to be talking about a lot of technology and solutions here that, as we all know, they change pretty quickly. So some of the things that we're talking about this morning may change a little bit between now and if you're watching a recorded version of this webinar in the future. Just keep that in mind. And of course, if you have any questions at all, you can always reach out to us at Zoom or DTEN. We'll make sure that you get any of the questions straightened out. So with that, Scott, would you mind telling us a little bit about the history of DTEN and Zoom and how we partner on co-developing and co-innovating solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to do so. So if you guys aren't super familiar with DTEN, we have been partners in collaboration with Zoom since 2017. Shortly thereafter, we released our flagship product, not just on the DTEN side, but on the Zoom room side, called our D7. And that's an all-in-one device with your cameras, your microphones, a touch screen. It's running the Zoom Rooms application, and it really reduced the need for all these different components in the room, the fail rates of cables being unplugged or one of your components going down and not being able to communicate or collaborate. So it was really a big leap forward in innovation when it came to a modern conference room and how you can outfit that in your technology stack, how to manage them. So we've been continuing that tradition since 2017 on co-designing new technology for use cases that are constantly developing. And one of our most successful areas has been in EDU and higher ed as they turn to technology and new devices to kind of blend a remote learner versus an in-person learner, how you can punch out of the classroom and explore new opportunities for learning. And all of our devices are super simple to use. We have industry-leading value at our price point, and everything is just co-developed and engineered down to the level to completely optimize the experience where you blend the software and hardware. And it's very intuitive, and we continue to design and innovate with new products that we bring to market with Zoom and Zoom Rooms. So we're super excited today to go through some of those use cases, some new stuff, and then having Dr. Ford with us to show real world deployments and how he uses and talks about this technology right in the EDU space. So super excited, and that relationship between DTEN and Zoom is unparalleled in the device ecosystem, and we continue to keep innovating, and we hope you find our solutions extremely compelling today, and looking forward to talking about those, Jackson.
Let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing on hybrid learning today. So hybrid learning is poised for significant growth, right? This isn't going anywhere. I think that one thing that we learned coming out of the pandemic is that these environments that we created to facilitate remote learning and virtual learning are now becoming these blended environments where, students, faculty, and staff, it's much easier for them to stay connected wherever they are, whether they're teaching from or teaching to. There are a lot of benefits and new lessons that we learned through the pandemic. Dr. Lance, what are you seeing, on your side in hybrid and blended learning environments today?
That's a great question, Jackson. And part of the fun of the job that I get to do is I'm working with these educators every day globally, right? So, and when we say educators, yes, I know we've talked a lot about higher ed already, but I'm actually in a K-12 school. That's the door to the playground. And so you may hear some students raising the roof a little bit outside. The natives are restless, so to speak. So the Lord only knows what's going to happen. But this is a live environment where we get to use these amazing tools every day. And I'd also, before we just kind of jump into what we're seeing, also say that I get to deal with some corporate trainers and corporations who are all faced with the expectation that coming out of the pandemic, learners expect options for where they are, when they are, and how they participate in their learning environments. So as we really start to kind of dig into this, this is something that in the past, especially at Common Ed, we've said, hey, you come, you sit, you get, you engage, but you're physically here with us. The pandemic forced us to be able to do something different, just like it did our higher ed brothers and sisters. And now that we've come back, students, their parents, the folks who are funding their education are now saying, hey, you did this, so this is the new option that we want to have. And Jackson, I think what I'm seeing is institutions who are not willing to at least have hybrid as an option, or some are calling it high flex hybrid learning moments as an option, are really starting to see students vote with their feet. And so it's imperative that these organizations take a serious look at what it means to provide flexible learning paths for faculty as well as students. Now, I will jump on this if you'd like for me to, because this is something that's near and dear to my heart. But do you want to weigh in on this first, Jackson, before we go?
No, please. I think we'd like to hear your input on this. What are the challenges that we're seeing in IT for these hybrid and blended learning environments today?
So from my seat, I'm a music teacher, y'all. So I got 7 letters in my alphabet, A through G. We like to keep it simple here. And when we look at that first bubble, facilitate, I tell all my faculty members, technology is a conduit for your class, not the topic of your class. With few exceptions, right? There are some classes that teach technology, but in my world, it's got to get out of the way and facilitate in a frictionless manner the ability that I have to engage with my learners. And so IT folks are looking for options that allow them to do that. They also have to provide near real-time support. And when I say near real-time, I'm using those as a comma. Near as in some faculty members need a little hand holding like me, right? And real-time means, hey, I'm in the middle of class and I got something going south. And while you may not physically be near me, I need you to be as near as you can be to me. And Jackson already mentioned, you guys already mentioned this idea Scott did of Zoom and DTEN sort of co-iterating together. The idea that a Zoom room could be fixed, operated, assistance could be provided regardless of where that IT professional is in real time and get that support they need. It's a reality, you guys. The same portal where you provision users for Zoom is where you make these things happen. While the IT is not necessarily worried about the learning outcomes, they're going to guarantee it, hear it from a faculty member who is challenged with technology that is constantly failing, that is too complicated to use, and thus, in a detrimental way, impacting those learning objectives. So again, while it's not the direct responsibility of the IT, this is what they're hearing from folks like me. And we said it right up front, if students are going to expect Jackson flexibility in the places they learn from, guess who else is? That's right, faculty. I think it's become apparent, at least on our campus, that for after school tutoring, that's no longer a program that faculty want to hang out for. That's certainly not a program that students want to hang out for. They want to go their merry way, eat their dinner, engage in their homes, and then have some availability after hours, pre-scheduled times where students and or their parents can join that faculty member to get the assistance that they need. So yes, it is teaching, but it's also those one-on-one mentor moments too, that we've got to be able to support from anywhere. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on and on about that, Jackson, but this one is near and dear to me.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, right? It's about flexibility. It's about being able to be responsive and adapt to whatever is going to come next and where we're at now today.
That's it. You got it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what we saw with USC, right? Which is a customer of both DTEN and Zoom, who's really had an amazing challenge, and then they came up with some really amazing solutions for equipping their campus with DTEN and Zoom rooms.
Yeah, and I've had the chance to talk to Joe on several occasions. Just an amazing individual as a person too. But Joe is in a situation where they were looking to say, what does AV look like in a variety of spaces? And I encourage you guys to look up this conversation and this case study that DTEN has on their website, because it's very, very powerful. The way he explains that this was going to be a multi-year upgrade rollout procedure, and then the switch got flipped, right? The pandemic hit, and now we've got to do all this right now. So they weren't necessarily looking at just DTEN. They were looking at something that was simple, that was extensible, that had the ability to be flexible for their environments. And in some cases, like I have here today with this Go, it has to marry to the technology that's already in the room. As much as I would like to say we can afford to forklift stuff every year and bring in all new tech, we just can't. I've got a smart board there that's been in use on this campus since 2007. That's a Promethean board that's been used since 2011. But when I bring the DTEN Go into that environment, the power growth is exponential. And these are the things that Joe talks about as they rolled this out at USC. It was an interface in Zoom that teachers were adapting to and that now are very comfortable with as a part of their pandemic experiences on their laptops, their smartphones, their tablet devices. You guys, I'm just going to wake up the signage here. This is the same interface that you're used to looking at. I mean, new meeting, join, whiteboard, share content. This is the stuff that we see on our devices. And that became paramount to an ease of use, simple, quick deployment for USC to get this stuff up and going. And I had reached out to a friend of mine at Zoom to verify this. I don't want to misquote something, but if they are not currently still the #1 EDU using environment of Zoom, man, they're close to the top. Their numbers just day in and day out for their use of Zoom rooms they're absolutely amazing. I think it's safe to say it's now a part of their culture. Scott, in talking to Joe, this is the expectation. And what I love about these three pictures is one is in a auditorium there at the top, and you got a little side view blow up there at the bottom. But then that bottom at the very bottom is around a little table where people roll up. Guys, this is also a part of Zoom and Zoom rooms. If we have time today, I'll show you how workplace reservation works so that students and faculty members can reserve spaces on site to meet with their peers and or join remote peers and have all the whiteboards that they've been using as a part of their curricular delivery and engagement. Maybe they have a Zoom phone number or a Zoom extension that gets ported into that DTEN while they're there. It's absolutely amazing. And the DTEN suite of tools makes this possible on our campus as well as Joe's.
No, I think that's a great segue into talking a little bit more about the setup that you have behind you there.
Well, Scott, I saw you start to say something. Did you want to add something, Scott, before I do this?
I was about to say the same thing, sir. You know, that's what really excites me about this opportunity talking to you is it's not just photos, it's not just a slide deck, right? You have the devices. You at this point are professional in delivering the best options for deploying these, especially in EDU. So I was just going to back up the fact that everyone should be very excited to see your presentation today and how these use cases really come to life.
Well, thank you guys. If y'all are okay with it, I'd really like to start with one of the most common devices on campus. This guy right here. I've got this in my office to show off, but my wife is a librarian and she's also a gifted and talented coordinator here on campus. And we've deployed this exact same unit in the library for a lot of reasons. They use it as the rich media hub of the library. They do some story times. They do some pairing of devices with it and sharing content, but they're bringing in author visits. They're doing virtual field trips. Heck, earlier this week, they did a sticky circuits kind of thing with Play-Doh. I know that sounds weird for you higher ed people. I got it. But the technology is just the conduit for that. And when she walks up, she's seeing content. Over my shoulder here, you'll see some content flying just to say, you may see the lunch menu. You may see student of the week, intern of the week. You may see teacher of the week recognition. You may see clips from ball games. In this case, you may see some social media posts. I don't know if you know it or not, but if you're using DTEN and Zoom Rooms, you got unlimited digital signage for your entire campus, just because you have a single Zoom Room license. So I would strongly encourage you to get started with it, if for no other reason than to be able to do this in the gymnasium lobby, in the student gathering areas, in the library, wherever they are, they have it. But once they come in, they walk up, they engage with this tool, right? And one of the things I love about it now is A, wireless sharing, which is going on in my library all the time, and B, the ability to whiteboard, okay? And I know that in many instances, we've thought of whiteboards as just a part of a Zoom meeting. Guys, that's no longer the case. Whiteboards from Zoom live both in meeting and out of meeting. And you've got the ability to bring in all sorts of tables and do instant mind maps and bring in text and sticky notes and have students who are here with me in the room be able to contribute to that from their devices. This is really revolutionizing what we do, because you saw, I just rolled it out. It's extremely portable as well, okay? So I'm gonna push this back over to the side for a second. I know we'll be talking some more about the D10. That is the D7 that Scott mentioned right up front, the flagship product for these guys. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Now, one of my newest devices here on campus, kind of block this out of your mind for a second, okay? Just hold the phone on that, okay? One of the newest devices on campus is this guy up here. This is a little D10 Go, and I know as I got it, it was probably never meant, Scott, to be like a permanent install room. It's so handy. It just folds and clips on the top of the monitor. You just plug in and go. But because of the way my office is situated, and I guess this kind of goes to the flexibility of it, it's actually got this monitor it's driving and that monitor it's driving. So I told you it was a smart board, right? So I took the USB-C to the USB-B of here, and watch. I'm now driving my D10 experience right here. When I join a new meeting, I've got that entire process that we had on a single board here. If I have remote participants joining, they're showing up over there. I have the ability to do these whiteboards as a part of this. If we have more time as we go through, I'm going to show you how I actually booked this inside my learning management system. But one of the things I'm so excited about is the mate that goes with the Go. You may be in a situation where you don't have a touch screen. You don't have the ability to have that. You saw that little breakout room that Jackson showed in the picture. You may not have that, but you may need people to be able to actually write and then pass this device around as a part of their live instruction and engagement strategy. So in K-12, unlike higher ed, we do have to discipline the kids, guys. So, part of the challenge with that, though, is if I'm strapped to the front of the room, Johnny's on row 3, I'm not going to stop instruction to go, hey, that's enough. Put a lid on it. No, what I'm going to do is take my little mate with me. I'm going to teach you the rest of the class, guys. This is really exciting. Scott, I've told you for the last time. That's all I need to hear today. So let's go ahead and get right back to our content, right? And I discipline by walking around in proximity. This guy paired to this dude over my shoulder gives me the power to be able to do that. From the wireless content sharing to the control of the call, to the muting, to the administration of polls. Again, we'll talk about some of that later if we have a chance to. There's one other thing. I kind of feel like Steve Jobs at this point. There's one other thing that I want to talk about before we pitch it back and just start looking at some of these use case examples. And that is what's happening here. One of the products from D10 is called the Me. And I actually have two DTEN me's stacked on top of each other. So this is a me and this is a DTEN me. Now, why do I have them stacked like this? I have them stacked for a very specific use, and I want to show that to you real quick. So this top one, this is a feature of the DTEN experience running the Zoom kiosk mode. This top one is running workplace reservation, and that literally means I've got buildings all over campus. They have some open, reservable rooms. I'd like for folks to walk up to a touchscreen, in this case, the DTEN me. I'd like for them to be able to click that, see the rooms that are available, like this one right here. Choose the time they would like to actually leverage that room. Let me shrink that down just a little bit and hit next. Now, for those of you who have a mobile device, which I'm guessing that's all of you, if you have the Zoom client on it right now, you may have never done this before, but at the bottom of your Zoom client, there's three little dots that say more. If you'll click on that with me, you'll see a button that says scan QR code. You probably didn't even know that was there, okay? I'm gonna scan this QR code and I'm gonna reserve this room. Check it out. Green button here, room is reserved. This shows me that it's reserved right here. And you're gonna see my ugly mug in a little dot right there, okay? Now, this is a personal space, right? So I'm gonna now walk into, and I'll be done in just a second, I promise. I'm gonna walk into this personal space right here. I'm gonna wake it up, and I'm gonna have the ability to check directly into it with this guy, right? Then all my whiteboards, all my phone numbers, all my extensions, they're all there on that device when I check in. So this gives me the ability to truly be portable, to work with people I want to work with, and have the high flexibility that I need as a faculty member and as a student on campus. Sorry, there's probably too much, Jackson. Gave you more than you ever asked for.
No, I think
that was great.
Yeah.
Absolutely great.
We did have a question around showing availability of classrooms at the time. So you following up with workspace reservation is a perfect application for, right? Someone that wants to see the availability of classrooms. And what's great about the map builder, right? That's also in the web portal, just like you mentioned, managing your users, your available devices, what rooms are in that portal is also your map builder. And that will let you assign, right, your classrooms, which ones are available, when they're reserved, when they're not. And then that extra layer of being able to reserve, right, remotely on site, use the QR code. And it's really powerful, right, Lance, once you sign in there, your personal contacts and your meeting and everything populates on its own, exactly how, you would have it in a lockdown personal environment. But you get to check in and out, right, and come and go as you please. And that's really where the flexibility comes into play here.
That's it. And I'm so glad Jackson brought this slide up, because that's what this is. You saw how easy it was. I mean, I literally just scanned it. To Scott's point, could check in right now. Give our users the flexibility to work from where they want to, and give them the power to work not only with folks in the room, but beyond. And it's all built in as one simple, easy to use device.
Yeah. And Daniel brought up about, digital signage in your lobby to show conference room availability, and these tools, right, really bring that to life. So whether you want to run, something that's just completely informational, or you want to make that interactive environment, right, where you can access, reserve a room in one building, right, from a different one, and really, have access to the total campus and all the facilities, right, just from your mobile device or at the, the touch of a screen is pretty powerful. Absolutely. So, the first one on here, simple. I don't think it gets any more simple, right, sir? You're rolling these devices in, you plug them into the wall, they connect to Wi-Fi, which is amazing. All this technology that you're displaying in the room is all based off your Wi-Fi network. So
every one of these devices, Scott, is connected to our Wi-Fi.
Exactly, and that's what we really see in K through 12 is just that power of turning an existing space, into a really powerful tech stack just by wheeling something in on a cart, connecting to the Wi-Fi that's in the room. The mate that you were drawing on is all Wi-Fi paired to the Go. So it just makes that, flexibility locked in, but you don't you don't necessarily sacrifice the power or your feature set or the performance. It's right along there with it.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that you put flexible in here too, because I mentioned the library, that same device, teachers up and down that hall request, right?
Yeah.
So I have got to be able to say, in an ideal world, I'd have the resources to buy 150 of these bad boys and pop them in every room, right? But for now, we've got to be flexible with the way that we deploy and roll these things around. And because it just requires power when I get there, it joins that Wi-Fi, we're good to go.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
All right, Jackson, what you got for us, my friend?
So I figured now we talk a little bit more specifically about the D7, right? The one that you rolled into the room a minute ago that you got on the cart there.
Yeah.
You know, this, as you mentioned, this is our flagship product. This is the one that we created years ago. We co-developed this with engineers at Zoom. So it's really meant to be the Zoom Rooms device.
Yeah.
We find them widely used in educational and learning environments. So Scott, if you want to talk a little bit more about the D7.
Yeah, you know, like you said, the D7, it was our flagship product, but the great thing about, you know, D10 devices is we really try and future-proof, you know, the applications and the technology to allow you to grow with the Zoom features and new opportunities that's pushed out through the software. So these devices are on, you know, 3-5 year long cycles where you make that purchasing commitment and you know that they're built to perform on, you know, any new video that might be released, right? Video features. We just went through the change from classic whiteboard to advanced whiteboard, right, Lance? And that really just completely changed the collaboration game when it comes to Zoom Rooms. But you didn't have to buy a new device, right? We pushed that. Yeah, we pushed that over the air. Those new features are available on that D7 that you had before that version of Zoom Rooms existed. So that's why it's such a powerful device. Is it continues to grow and evolve, and that's something we work with Zoom on to provide those updates over the air. Right, you can go into that same portal, update these devices. We put the new Zoom Rooms, new firmware right there through the wireless network, and it constantly keeps your D10 device up to date with those features. And I think that's something extremely powerful as well, because not only are we having devices that help you bring maybe current technology right back into play, but our devices are not going to fail on you when new features and new opportunities arise with the software.
And before we leave this, Jackson, I do want to say this. I don't know who all in our group today is planning on being EDUCAUSE at the end of the month, but the central piece of the Zoom room experience is a D10 D7. And I'll tell you guys why, because it is so extensible. You mentioned legacy devices. Hey, we got USB dot cams here at the school. We plug that directly in. Now I'm able to throw a piece of paper underneath there and go. There may be a situation where I need to add an additional camera pointing in a certain way, maybe at the instructor or something. Hey, I plug that in and we go. I may need to dangle a second monitor off of it or hardwire an HDMI into it. I plug it into the D7 and we go. So it's kind of our Swiss Army knife of jumping off to whatever technologies we need to bring in space, but it can stand alone as well. Again, if you're coming to EDUCAUSE, come see us in the booth. You'll see this bad boy in action, and we'll let you play with it as well to see some of the amazing features.
Yep, definitely. And it, you know, you have the 55-inch in the room, but it comes in a 75-inch as well. So if you're in a slightly larger space or you want more real estate when it comes to that infinite canvas for whiteboarding, the 75-inch, right, is definitely a very powerful tool.
Absolutely.
So next I wanted to talk about the Onboard, which is the latest addition to our portfolio of solutions for EDU.
Yeah, what's great about the Onboard, you know, we purpose built this device with Zoom, anticipating that new advanced whiteboard. And, you know, we're aware of current customers and EDU institutions that might have reacted during the pandemic to the hybrid meeting aspect and purchased a webcam or purchased a bar or something where the only solution they were trying to solve is just to have a meeting, right? How do we meet? How do we stay connected? And we know that, there's a lot of customers that went that route and went with the bar and maybe an existing display that was not touch enabled. So the Onboard is definitely that complement to that existing space that brings every collaboration tool into the mix. And what's great about it, it's a 55-inch touchscreen that was built to be a companion to those existing devices. So you have your Onboard on the same network as your meeting bar. And through Zoom Rooms, you add that touchscreen experience as a companion device. And all the behavior, all the controls are already built in there when you're in companion mode. So if you would start Whiteboard from your controller or a device that's not touch enabled, that Whiteboard will open on the Onboard and give you that 10 points of touch, adding content, being able to annotate over that content. So the behavior is already built in, and it's there to add that collaboration equity to your meeting experience and really kind of finish off that 360-degree meeting and collaboration experience. So purpose built. We have all the components in there. We have, tons of RAM. We have professional gaming level video cards in these devices, right? We really went all out when we built them because we know we're going to support video playback in Whiteboard. We're going to support images being dropped in there. So as this roadmap of advanced whiteboarding as Zoom unfolds, the Onboard's prepared to process that, to manage it, and provide an exceptional experience, just like all of the products. So I know this is something that we've outfitted you with, Lance, here recently, and it seems like you guys immediately found opportunity and gravitated to this product right away.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I didn't get permission. So if she knew I was showing this picture right now, she'd probably hang me out to dry. But this is our video production instructor. Her name is Miss Parks. And in the middle, right over her left shoulder, you see the Onboard mounted to the wall. Now, she has just wrapped up class. There's a student there that she's showing some final how-tos to before he leaves the room. And so when class is over, it rolls right back into digital signage, right? So that's exactly what's happening. But to Scott's point, this is one of those tiered seating for about 60 students, microphones in the ceiling, 2 75 monitors that you see there at the front, 2 65s at the back, 3 cameras in there, but there was no way to annotate anything. And she is forever pulling up software that they're learning and wanting to go, it's right here, guys. Just click right here, bring this up, right? So now she is sharing that in her Zoom room experience using the Onboard to annotate. It's got one of the things I'm really excited about. You can just see 3 or 4 or 5 of the iMacs in there. But she has the ability to have those students wirelessly share from their seats. Then she can turn around to her Onboard and say, hey, you need to fix this, and you need to fix that, and you need to fix the other. And that documentation is on that screen in front of that student as well as up front. So it's transparency, it's fluidity, it's the frictionless experience that we were talking about right up front, because to your point, there was no touchscreen in here. It was not a possibility. So man, the Onboard, I strongly recommend it for these collaborative moments and these just-in-time teaching moments where you need to highlight some stuff.
Absolutely, definitely. So next, yeah, you touched on the Me Pro, right? We know that you have been involved with the Me Pro since the inception, right? When it was a personal device for the student to participate remotely, right? That's kind of how we first released it, was Zoom for Home, right? We were forced to stay at home. We were working from home, learning from home, and some of our best testimonials around a personal device has come from EDU, and not necessarily students. A lot of instructors, a lot of teachers, faculty, administration, right? They were able not just to interact with the student, but to interact with each other. And it's a super powerful tool, all the way from the top down, having all those intuitive features right there on your desktop, right? So something that you might have used in a $20,000 conference room, you now can have an affordable 27-inch device on your desk that gives you that same performance. And being able to annotate, right? It's still a touchscreen. So all those tools of annotating over that content, whiteboarding, sharing ideas, ideation, it's all packaged in an extremely powerful device that sits right there on the desk or in any environment that really allows you to, continue those, what used to be expensive tools, right? At an enterprise, at a very high budget type of level, have come way down market. And now it's an everyman's device, every student device, where you can really get hands-on and have tools that people just weren't used to having before the pandemic.
I cannot tell you how excited I am about this device in its next life, I guess, on our campus, Scott. Just had a conversation yesterday with some of the curriculum folks, and this idea that I said it up front, we're really struggling getting students and faculty, for that matter, to want to stay here after school to do tutoring and catch up work and that sort of stuff. So the idea that we're going to be able to send some of these MEs home with faculty members, mathematics, science, targeting English, okay, sending them home with those instructors so that they have, because that was the first thing they said, when I go home, I can't write on anything. I need to be able to annotate on something, have the students annotate, show me something, and I need to be able to fix it. But I don't have anything like that at home. And I'm not going to stay up here till 4 or 5 or 6 o'clock at night to make this stuff happen. Can I just go home, have a life, have some offerings of times where students can book, and we can do it with a device? The DTEN Me is the answer for us. We're really, really excited to get this out back into homes again with that purpose behind it.
Yep, absolutely. And it, because it's continuing to evolve, just like all the devices, and right, it'll support all those fantastic tools. And what's great about it, it also supports all the other platform products that are included in Zoom Rooms. So you can still send digital signage to these devices. It can be your kiosk. So we've seen plenty of campuses deploy virtual receptionists. So right, students are coming up to a DTEN Me, they're contacting different departments, different faculty, they're getting help, they're getting support, they're talking to their teachers. So it really is a super versatile device from, not just the learning aspect, but just from, managing devices and bringing a tech stack into a campus that normally, you didn't have the opportunity to use in the past.
That's it. Exactly.
I just pinned your video, Dr.
Oh,
Ford.
yeah, let me show it one more time, because this is when Scott mentioned that, I wanted you guys to see it for a split second. We looked at this a minute ago in light of workplace reservation, right? But I didn't point out this other button that says reception. So when I hit that reception button, enrollment, admissions, campus security, healthcare, online services, tech help, by default, when I match one of these, it will ring multiple people simultaneously behind the scenes. And the latest release of the Zoom software in conjunction with DTEN also makes use of our contact center. So having the call treeing process, triaging just to the right person at the right time, these things are all tied together. They're not in silos. Phone is not a different tool from Rooms. Rooms is not a different tool from contact center. These are all one thing from a Zoom perspective. And to Scott's point, it's really simple to deploy, and that's how easy it is for an end user.
Absolutely. And I think
what else you got, Jackson?
So you talked a minute ago about the DTEN Go. And I think, we should take another look at that, because it is a very nice way to connect any existing display to the Zoom Rooms experience, right? Providing that consistent experience from all these different touch points, I think is what we've been kind of touching on in the last couple of slides, is how important it is. So when students and faculty, they know how to use that technology, whether they're in the classroom, whether they're at home, whether they're in their office, wherever they are, it's familiar, it's consistent, right? So there's no friction to delivering that great lesson plan. There's no friction to engaging with students. The technology isn't going to get in the way.
Absolutely. Scott, you want to talk about some of the specs? And I'd love to show these guys how this actually works in conjunction with a learning management system, because that's what blows my teachers away.
Yeah, I mean, briefly, just as a product design, it's also built to support not just current Zoom room features, but roadmap features, right? And how can we get meeting equity and collaboration equity into, maybe smaller spaces where you don't have really the opportunity to roll in large touchscreen devices. To your point, there's many facilities that have legacy technology in there, and they're looking for ways to bring this into a modern, learning environment. So the Go and the Mate in combination can really help check off some of those boxes and fill the gaps in some of these spaces. So just like any DTEN device, your microphone array is built into here. You have multiple cameras giving you different fields of view and different opportunities to zoom. And then it comes with its Mate, our 10-inch touchscreen tablet. So, Zoom Rooms for Touch, it is the backbone of DTEN technology, right? Touchscreen, how much the experience, gets better when you do have access to touch. And the Mate with the Go brings that environment into a room that currently doesn't have it. So being able to control the Zoom Rooms interface from that tablet, annotate over that content, whiteboard and Idea 8, all those are possible. You can bring that into your current environment with a display that's not touch. And that's something that I think, definitely makes the Go with the Mate unique in the space. Because it's not another Me Too tablet, it's not another Me Too bar. This is an extremely unique tool that definitely adds value in not just meeting, but in a collaboration environment.
Yeah, passing that tablet around to different students in the space, physically in the room. And I guess you guys have heard me say this several times. I keep saying physically in the room, because I want you to know that these tools are not just remote learner tools. Right? These are multimedia hubs of the spaces in which they find themselves. So just real quickly, I want to pop into a learning management system that you may recognize. This is Canvas. What I'm about to do will work in Canvas, D2L, Sakai, Moodle. Yeah, you fill in the blank. As long as it's LTI, Learning Tools Interoperability compliant. I'm going to go ahead and click the plugin, Zoom with Dr. Ford right here. And once that loads up, I'm going to do what I do at the beginning of each semester. I'm going to schedule my class. So I'm teaching music appreciation this fall. I got about 60 learners. It's a recurring meeting, and it meets for me on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday basis. So we'll uncheck Thursday there, and we'll pop it out to the end of my semester, which again for me is December the 16th. Now, the beauty here is that I actually have the ability to say, I'm going to be utilizing this particular room, this particular Zoom room, this particular room that has the DTEN Go and Mate in it. There are several other features here. I won't spend long on them, but I do want you to see that you can record the class automatically and have it automatically published. You can pre-assign breakouts from the course groups. I mean, all this is here for you. And those things are going to become really important when we fire this off. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, right? Here are my course meetings from here on out. That's if I'm remote. I've got to be at home. You heard Scott talk about the me and its personal mode that we can put it in. When we put that puppy in a personal mode or we check into that room, this is what's going to show up on that screen to join at the appropriate times. But let's see what happened in the actual classroom that had to go in. Come here for a second. Here we are. There's my little Go. I'm going to click on it. I get start. Right here. That schedule is going to show that button every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the appropriate time. So I can literally walk in, start that class. If I've got recording going, okay, it will automatically start the recording. I have a mirror of the session here. So if I'm walking around the classroom again, I'm giving these notes. And as I'm giving those notes are being encapsulated into the recording. I also have the ability directly from here. I'm going to close out the whiteboard for a second. We'll save that. We'll drop it to email. Okay, there we go. Now, once I've got that done and I've got my whiteboard down, check this out. I've got the ability to actually administer polls and quizzes. So here's some quizzes that I have. Again, I'm standing halfway in back of the classroom doing this. I'll launch the quiz. Now all my learners, whether they're in the room or remote or right in the middle of that quiz, once the quiz is over, then I have the ability to share those results with participants. I can share them all at once. I can do question by question. I can reorder the questions, all thanks to this little guy with me wherever I am. So driving this experience is no longer I'm strapped to the front of the classroom talking at my students. I'm now out with my students, engaging them and manipulating the technology and showing it all in real time. All the way from the learning management system to the room, Scott, this is how technology gets out of the way of an instructor and allows them to do what they're hired to do. That's teach.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think one thing that you touched on just briefly there a second ago is whether they're in the classroom or at home, right? So whether there's students that are calling in that are at home, whether they can't join the class, maybe they're homesick and they can't miss the lesson, you know, or they may have a disability that doesn't allow them to actually physically be in the classroom.
That's right.
You're engaging with all students equally and vice versa. They're also engaging with the class and talking to you in real time as well from home as I am right now.
It's such a powerful model because in this world, there are a lot of students who have accessibility issues. And so bringing these devices into play means that they can get closed caption. They can even get translation in their own language at their desk, at their locations. Guys, if you want to see all this truly in action and you're going to be at EDUCAUSE, please, please, please come by and see us at the booth. But Jackson, I know you got an opportunity. If they're not going to be at EDUCAUSE or they are, they'd like a little follow-up. Can you tell them how to get a hold of us?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, one way that you can get in touch with us, of course, is visit DTEN.com and talk a little bit about our special program we have running right now. Get a one-on-one consultation with a DTEN Zoom product expert and maybe even get signed up for a free trial of a D7.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we've had tremendous success, right, Lance, with our Engage program, where we actually put the device right in your hands. It's on site, it's on your campus. You can touch it, you can use it, interact with it. And that's been a program that some of the top logos, including USC, all these environments and opportunities started from touching it, right? That's why the DTEN devices are so powerful, and they're you know, separated from other traditional devices in this space is the interactive level. So not only interacting with us, with Lance, with product specialists, but actually interacting with the products themselves. And we'd love to, you know, back up all the statements today by giving you a chance to experience that yourself in your own environment and how powerful these tools are.
Absolutely. From a Zoom's perspective, guys, this product is amazing. And there are so many features that we didn't even talk about today. There's multi-stream, there's camera tracking technology like you're seeing going on. It's literally all built into that D7. So please reach out to these guys and get one in your hands, because the power of experience is what it's all about, truly.
Yep, absolutely.
Guys, we have a couple minutes just for a few Q&A questions that are still remaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I think some of these questions would be, you know, answered appropriately in that one-on-one environment. So we have the solution experts. We can help recommend the right device for your room size or your room type. That's definitely what we want to do, you know, post-webinar is help you find the exact solutions that are going to put you on the path for success and really, you know, provide solutions to the issues you might currently have. So, you know, you'll be able to experience, you know, multiple people whiteboarding, right, on the same session. That's something that can happen today. It's not just a one-way street. It's interactive, right? And it's that collaboration equity. So as you are asking questions, right, students can respond on the whiteboard. They can respond via poll. There's all sorts of different ways that you can interact, not just with the users in the room if they're all in that session, but those users that happen to be remote at that time. very, very powerful applications. So across the Zoom Rooms platform, from that digital signage to the whiteboarding to the meeting, it's really a full suite of solutions that's going to put you on the right path and definitely enhance your tech stack.
So there's a question about working with other partners. And so I just want to dive in here for a second, because one of the tools that I don't know if you saw it or not, but over my shoulder down low here, that is actually a Cisco WebEx device. And so the question had to do with living and working fluidly with other environments. The answer to that is yes. The Zoom cloud, I guess I would say, plays well with others. From a Microsoft perspective, from a WebEx perspective, those interops are there. So you better believe that D10, D7, that Me, that Go, they can all be a part of those environments. Would love to have this person reach out to us directly and demonstrate that. I've got that conversation happening in about 45 minutes, in fact, specific to one of those platforms. So yes. The other question about legacy touchscreens, you better believe it. That's exactly what you're seeing over my shoulder. When I say legacy, I mean 2007. Okay, that is a smart board, and it is directly attached to, in this case, the Go. And I'm driving the Go not only with the flexibility of walking around with the mate, but when I find myself up front, I'm right up here driving it as well, annotating on a whiteboard and all that sort of stuff. So yes, and the way I did it, I literally took the USB-C on the back of the Go and plugged it into the USB-B of the touchscreen. Next door, I've got some other ones as well that are tied into a variety of different touchscreens. So yes, that is an amazing feature that will work with those legacy touchscreens.
Absolutely. Well, like we mentioned, please reach out. We'd love to learn more about the solutions you're looking for, answer any questions, give some demonstrations, and let you experience the Zoom Rooms D10 solutions for yourself. So please reach out. We'd love to talk to you. Dr. Ford, thank you so much. You've been an amazing guest. We appreciate your time and all you do for educators and outfitting them with the devices that they need to really be successful.
Thanks, you
Thanks,
guys.
everybody. Have a nice day.